I believe, the teachers are not safe. Definitely the children are not safe.
Fights like this one have some parents in Champaign concerned for their children. Good evening, I'm Bryce Beament. Social media posts have been circulating after several fights have broke out in the high schools. WCIX Sarah Lehman sat down with the parent. Here's more on what that mom has to say.
That's just one scene from a Champaign high school. Parents and community members have taken to social media with concerns after they say fights continue to break out at Central and Centennial. Angela Wilson is one of those parents. She has two sons at Central.
The kids have just been seeing fights. This is something they're not used to.
The Champaign Police Department says they've been called to Centennial High School twice for fights. One was after school and one during. Police say one of the students used pepper spray in the fight in school. The district says because of ongoing violence in the community, they are experiencing isolated incidents, but wouldn't say how many. Wilson says it's not a good environment for the students or staff.
When I explained to my kid, what would you do, in a situation, and he was kind of clueless, and it left me feeling helpless too. Like, what are we going to do to make them feel protected? Because if they're worrying, about what's going on around them and hearing things in the hallway and being terrified, reasonably so, they're not learning.
She says she feels anxious every day sending her kids to school, and she doesn't have an answer to end the violence, but she hopes a conversation will start and something can be done.
I think if people really think about what's happening here, I think the end goal is the same. We all want our children safe, so how can we resolve this?
The district says they are teaching students social emotional learning support and trauma-informed practices because of the violence. They also said they are adding more security officers on campuses to help. They did not confirm how many officers or which schools. The Champaign Police Department had to end the school resource officer program because of staffing. The district hired a team out of Chicago to help with security. They don't carry guns and cannot arrest students. Champaign Police still helps the district in any way they can. And one community is mourning the loss of a law enforcement officer. A visitation was held this evening to honor the life of U of I Police Lieutenant Aaron Landers. He was killed in a crash on August 22nd in Champaign. He was off duty riding his motorcycle when a car hit him. Landers leaves behind two children and his wife, as well as plenty of other loved ones and his fellow officers. Landers had been employed with UIPD for 24 years.
This is a somber moment, and our department's been really feeling the void that Lieutenant Aaron Landers has left, not only internally to the department, his friends, his co-workers, and those that he supported and mentored, but the community. The community is feeling a great void.
The visitation lasted until 8 tonight. Funeral services will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Vineyard Church. The burial will follow at Patterson Cemetery in St. Joseph. A Vermilion County bar is closed after a fire broke out over the weekend. It happened at the Exit 210 Saloon in Oakwood Saturday morning. That's on Route 150, just west of the I-74 interchange. 8 fire departments were out there. No one was hurt. The owners say they are still assessing the damage. Firefighters still don't know the cause of the fire. The House and Senate return to Springfield tomorrow for a one-day special session, and a new bill filed in the House could impact school districts that defy the governor's mask mandate. The overwhelming majority of Illinois school districts are enforcing Governor Pritzker's state mask mandate in classrooms. A few opposed it at first and then reversed course to comply when the state threatened to pull their certification and funding. There are still some holdouts, and the governor says he will move to decertify and defund those districts if they defy his orders. Those districts could challenge that in court, but at the same time, a House Democrat from Chicago filed a new bill to give the governor the legal authority to do that. Authority he says he already has.
I don't know, Representative Gonzalez maybe thinks that the governor's actions aren't lawful if he has to introduce a legislation to make it lawful.
Do they not have that lawful authority today?
As I understand, they pretty much do, but we just want to make sure that we remove that ambiguity because I think what SB and the governor are doing right now, they're totally in their rights. Just want to make sure that, there's nothing that can be contradicted on that end.
Democrats say their plan would enhance or strengthen the governor's powers to enforce mask mandates in local school districts. And health officials in Champaign are keeping a close eye on COVID cases, especially after big events like the U of I football game. Fans spent most of their time outside, but they were supposed to wear a mask when inside at the concession stands and bathrooms. But we've been told a lot of people weren't wearing one.
Any large event is a potential for multiple cases. There are concerns, how this would impact things going forward. One of the things to keep in mind is that majority of the people that were at the game, if they were students, faculty, and staff, they are a very highly vaccinated group of individuals.
He says no one can predict if we will see a rise in cases, and if they do, there have been several large gatherings, not just the football game. And here's a look at today's COVID numbers statewide. There are close to 2,400 new cases. 4 more people have died. The 7-day positivity rate is 5.7%. 53% of the state is now fully vaccinated. Close to 14 million shots have been given in total. The 7-day average is more than 25,000 doses. That's up slightly from last week. And here's a follow-up. Several Central Illinois hospitals are now offering sign-on bonuses for nurses. Sarah Bush Lincoln Health Center in Mattoon is promising up to $10,000. It's to fight the nationwide nursing shortage that is affecting hospitals here. The hospital's HR director tells us their need is a result of expansion of health facilities in the last year. She says they have 434 RNs on staff and 17 openings, but she's optimistic about filling in the gaps.
We're doing well, considering, the time that we're in. I also would say that we do want to make sure that we fill positions quickly. It's important for, the staff autonomy of those important employees that we have here. We want to make sure that they have help at their elbows in caring for our patients.
There's a variety of nursing positions open. They need nurses at the hospital and clinic, but also for home care and hospice. We reached out to several area hospitals about sign-on bonuses. OSF Healthcare is offering up to $10,000 for more nurses with 5 or more years of experience, up to $7,500 for 1 to 5 years of experience, and up to $5,000 for new nurses. Memorial Health System in Springfield is offering $15,000 bonuses. And the time for civilian evacuations out of Afghanistan has come to a close. What the U.S. military is making sure it gets out of the country before President Biden's August 31st deadline. And Hurricane Ida is now a tropical storm. How some people in Illinois are helping with the damage it has caused. But Kevin, are we going to feel any impacts from that here at all?
We're going to miss it. It's going to track to our south and east, so that's some good news for us. But yeah, major impacts still ongoing as that system makes its way up through.